All right, hello. It is Tuesday, November 4th. I really should look at the clock before I start these. But yeah, Tuesday, November 4th, Election Day. Uh, and today I'm just going to go over the hobby challenges I've completed over the past couple days since my last video. Um, the last video I released was the Troll, the red and blue Zenithal. So since then, I've completed a bunch of hobby challenges. So let's just go through them. So first of all, I painted this drummer for the Marksman of Miragliano. He was pretty cool. I sort of followed the paint scheme that, uh, the box art paint scheme, to an extent. I used red for his coat, green for his pants, and then sort of blue for his drum, and then kind of did the same sort of colors that are in the paint scheme for the rest of the miniature. Not using the exact color because obviously the paint job is old, but trying to be close. And that's the same thing that I'll do for the rest of that unit when I get to them. I want to try to match the box art that you can see here, just because I think it's really cool. It's like I don't know. It looks like a bunch of farmers or whatever have come together to form this unit, which I think is kind of fun. Kind of like the old one of my favorite scenes in a movie when I was a kid was the Three Musketeers movie, um, where all the musketeers like go into their hay bales and under their floors and get their swords and so that sort of thing. That's sort of what I envision for these marksmen. Then I did the Zenithal Shadow challenge that just had to be you had to paint a miniature using a Zenithal Shadow that was a primary color, so red, yellow, or blue. I did red, as you saw in the previous video. Then I had to make a scenic base with 3 or more elements. So my daughter and I went out into the backyard and found ourselves a cool stick. I stuck that on there. I got some pine bark and made a little slate sort of rock out of it. And then I took some tufts and some Tyrannid heads from the Skulls and Battlefield Trophies pack, and stuck them on there, and that was my scenic base. A friend of mine has been sort of goading me to paint not a striking scorpion, whatever that green Badab War Space Marine chapter is that I now can't think of the name. Mantis Warrior. He's been goading me to paint a Mantis Warrior, so I figured once I get around to that, I'll stick him on this base as a little mini diorama sort of thing. Then I painted a model with fur. I just painted this Chaos Warrior as I continue getting up to 2,000 points of my Warriors of Chaos army. Then I painted this blue horror for the only primary colors challenge. This was one of the old bubblegum horrors that are probably my favorite horror models ever made by GW. Eventually I'll get a full unit of them done. But for now, one was easy. I just used red for the mouth, blue for the body, and yellow for the claws. Then I painted a model with a shield. I painted this Knight of the Empire. I don't know exactly what knightly order or city state this will be for. I just really liked the idea of the shiny silver and the blue and white, so I went with that. If I end up not painting the rest of my guys like that, it's not the end of the world. At least I had fun painting that guy. Then I sort of cheated on this one. It was the black and white with only one other color challenge. I just did a stormtrooper. Like I said, kind of cheating, but I like painting stormtroopers, so it's fine. My one other color was silver. Then I painted Galen from Galen and Duralia, the father-daughter witch hunter combo for the OSL challenge. I'm not 100% happy with this OSL. I never really am when I paint OSL. But I tried, and I think it came out okay. So I'm reasonably happy with it. I may go back to it and tweak it a little sometime down the line. Then I did the only contrast and speed paint challenge. I did that on this Space Marine here, and I realized after I was already a fair bit into him that selecting a Space Marine for this challenge would mean that I wouldn't be able to edge highlight it. Maybe I could have if I really was careful, but edge highlighting with contrast paint seems like a nightmare. So instead, what I did is just panel line him with black, and that sort of achieves the same effect. And I'm reasonably happy with how he came out. I just picked some random colors that were on my desk for this paint scheme. Just had some fun with it. Painted him late at night, so I'm all about just having fun when it's a late at night paint job. Then I did the challenge where a friend of mine gets to pick 8 colors, and I have to use only those colors to paint a miniature. So I painted this Bretonian peasant bowman. As you see, he picked some ridiculous colors for me, and I had no metallic colors, so unfortunately I just had to leave his buttons on his coat blank. But I may go back at some point and repaint those buttons. Then I painted a non-GW model for that challenge. I painted this Song of Ice and Fire miniature game model. I can't remember what faction he's a part of, but this was another sort of middle of the night paint, and so I just decided I wanted to do checkers on this guy. I mean, the pattern is not printed, is molded on there. I just decided to alternate them to paint them like checkers, and then do that quartered scheme for the banner. Pretty happy with this guy came out. How this guy came out. One day I'll get to painting the rest of that box set, but not today. And then finally, the last challenge I did since the last time you saw me was paint a model with the primary color yellow. And so I painted this Orc Ardboy. And I just had some fun and put these... I think they probably have a specific name for the orcs, but there's these spikes that they put on... Not spikes like actual spikes, but this like spiked pattern on their armor. And just, you know, another chance to practice straight lines on a freehand. I did it pretty quickly, but I'm still reasonably happy with how he came out. I like how the green skin pops against the yellow. And yeah, came out pretty well. Pretty happy with it. All right, well, that will do it for today's episode. This is just a review episode of all that because, one, today I went over to a friend's house and we played 3 back-to-back games of Warhammer. So I did very little hobbying, but I played a game of Age of Sigmar. I lost. Then we played a game of Battle March, which is the 500-point format of the Old World. I lost. And then we played a full-size game of the Old World, and wait for it, I lost. So, you know, 0-3 could be better, but it was fine. Had a ton of fun. I could probably lose 100 games of Old World in a row, and I would still want to go and keep playing it. So, 10 out of 10. Do try it if you haven't. Highly recommend. And then tomorrow, I leave to go up to HMGS's Fall In convention. That's one of... HMGS is the Historical Miniature Gaming Convention, and they have 3 big conventions a year on the East Coast. This is their end of year one, so I'm going up to that. I don't know how much hobbying I'll get to do while actually at the convention, but then I'll be at my parents' house afterward for a couple days, so I'll do some hobbying there. But hopefully I'll do an update or an episode at least from the convention. That'll be cool. But yeah, so not a lot of hobbying today. No hobbying today, in fact. Maybe I'll paint a miniature here in a minute, I'm not sure. Mostly just watching election results right now. And chilling out after the 3 games of Warhammer and packing for my drive tomorrow. Because it's about a 10-hour drive tomorrow. So yeah, thank you everybody for watching. If you enjoyed the video, I would encourage you to hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this in the future. And I will see you tomorrow.